There's no way this can actually be included in a mic that's costing $100. No way. Yo, what's the story? Can a cheap mic be better than the crappy onboard camera mic? This is the Ulanzi AM18 mic. Now, it's a wireless mic, but it's not just one wireless mic and receiver. It's actually two wireless mics and a receiver. And here's the thing. This thing costs $100. Plus, it's got crazy functionality, including something that should not be in any mic system for $100. But how does this thing sound? For $100, it's got to be crap, right? Let's find out. And this is what it sounds like from roughly about 8 feet away. And here we have, this is the Ulanzi AM18 mic. This is one of them, just stuck onto my shirt with a little clip. So let's see how far back we could go on the range. But this gives you a good idea of how the audio from this very cheap mic system sounds. And before we do anything else, let me know in the comments, do you think this audio is good or bad for $100? Now, I wonder, can you hear me when I'm walking away with my back to the receiver? Probably not, but you never know. Here we are now, and I reckon this is roughly 20-ish feet away. So you can see there's a decent range if you can still hear me. I'm going to go another bit, see how far it can go. And again, we're going to turn our back and see what happens. I don't think you can, because a lot of these receivers work in line of sight. Now we're, I don't know, 40 feet away. I have no idea. It's a long distance. So if you can still hear me, then give this video a thumbs up. So I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'm just going to go back one more bit, because let's be honest, we're never going to be further away than this when it comes to recording audio for the best part. This is about as far as I'm going. I don't think there's any point going any further. This is definitely 50, 60 feet away, I think. I know somebody's going, I don't think so. It's probably 49.9 feet. I got to jump in here really quickly. I did not expect the audio range to go so far in this thing. And more importantly, it did something I thought no mic system for $100 would actually do. For a huge amount of distance, this thing actually recorded me with my back to the camera. These receivers, they just generally don't work without line of sight. This Ulanzi one, boom! There is not a lot of wind here, but what happens when you do have wind, because you might just be able to hear a little bit of that breeze coming through in the mic. Well, in the box is something to help with the wind. And that's this thing. This is called a dead kitten, essentially. The bigger ones are called dead cats. So this is a tiny piece of fur. And what this does essentially is it connects itself. Apologies, now there might be some noise. It connects itself on here very, very simply, and push it on, and that's it, it's done. So this kind of filters out the wind. Now, depending on where you are, may not work in absolute every single condition. Let me just take it off here. You know, there is no real wind here, but I do happen to know somewhere where there's an absolute ton of wind. So I have come to the windiest place close to near enough where I live, and there's not a real great deal of wind. Kind of here. It's kind of blowing towards me. So this is with the actual wind muffler, the dead kitten, on the Ulanzi mic. Now, what about if I take this thing off? Okay, there's some wind. That's what it sounds like without the little wind muff on. Finally, wind. So yeah, they do make an absolute big difference. But how does this compare to something on the actual camera itself, like the built-in microphone? Okay, for this we're just going to get back into the actual car. Let's fix the exposure, and this is what it sounds like on the Ulanzi. But what if we just turn off the Ulanzi mic and just use the onboard camera on the Sony ZV-E1? And that's what that sounds like. This is the mic directly from the Sony ZV-E1. It's the onboard mic. You have an option to change the direction of the audio. Right now it is front facing, and yeah, that's what it sounds like. So you let me know in the comments which sounds better, the onboard camera mic
or $100 wireless lav system. I think it's pretty obvious.
Now, there's a couple of downsides to the Ulanzi AM18, but I'm going to get to those after we talk about the insane functionality, including a feature that's probably worth $100 alone and going to save you so much hassle. Just before I get to that though, this is an actual charging case. So we can see on the back here, there is a USB-C port, so you can charge up the case, which keeps everything charged. And all of these just kind of connect with a little connector into the case and boom, everything starts charging. And you can see here on the actual receiver, the battery levels and everything that's going on. Now, speaking of this receiver, this is actually touchscreen. Yup, you can take it out and you can swipe up and swipe down to record mono or stereo. Yeah, it's a tiny screen, and unless you have tiny fingers, it's slightly icky to use, but it works. It's just super functionality. At this price point, a touchscreen at this size, and you can go through setting. Amazing, genuinely amazing. But that's not the only piece of functionality that comes with this Ulanzi wireless mic system. These are the actual mics. Now here on the side, we have a plus and minus. So if you need to up the volume on the mic or decrease it a little bit, you can. Over here, we have a spot to plug in a lavalier mic. If that's your jam, you can plug one of those in. And then we've got the clip on the back here to clip onto whatever. But are we ready for this? I was reading the specs on this and I was like, there's no way this can actually be included in a mic that's costing $100. No way at all. Ain't happening. So, are you ready? This button here is the real secret sauce of this Ulanzi AM18. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this. And now we see we've got a red light on here. And I've just synced the audio with the click. So now this Ulanzi mic is actually recording on the mic itself. There's a little bit of storage inside here, which blows my mind. So for whatever reason, if you didn't want to connect this or do whatever, you can just record directly onto this unit, which for $100, this functionality, my friends, is just insane. The idea that I can do this alone is crazy, and what you're listening to now is the audio that has come directly out of the onboard storage on the Ulanzi AM18. And it's just very simple. Just take it off via USB-C, via a little port, and boom, you're good. And it sounds, well, you let me know in the comments how it sounds. I really do think this is near perfect. However, there are a few tiny gripes, right? So the case carries the mics and it carries the receiver and it charges them. That's all well and good, right? The only thing is, if you've got the wind muffs on here, the case won't close, which is a small little thing. Plus, there's no room for the cables. Now, that's a minor gripe. Really is, but that would just make the whole thing flawless if there was an extra unit under here just to get in the cables or something like that. As I said, it's a minor gripe for the functionality that this thing is offering. I think it's a no-brainer. Also, given that these are USB-C, if you've got something like the new iPhone 15 Pro, you can plug in the receiver and have a completely usable wireless mic system on something like the iPhone 15 Pro. Or if you've got any phone that takes USB-C, it should be able to recognize the Ulanzi AM18. And this is a recent video that I shot here.
Besides the fact that it could be very difficult to frame yourself if you're the one that's doing the talking and stuff.
And as you can hear and see, this thing was just in my hand all the time, which super functionality. I mean, look, let's be honest. The audio isn't like groundbreaking. It's not amazing, but it is very good. And the one thing for sure is it's better than your onboard camera mic. 1,000,000%. And there's a big reason why you should really pay attention to audio. And this is because the folks who are watching your video will X out of it if your audio is bad. Bad video is kind of tolerable. Bad audio just makes your brain want to explode and, more importantly, go click.